Welcome to the Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast, a show created to help painting company owners build a thriving painting business that does well over $1 million in annual revenue. I'm your host, Brandon Pierpont, founder of Painter Marketing Pros and creator of the popular PCA educational series, Learn, Do, Grow, Marketing for Painters. In each episode, I'll be sharing proven tips, strategies, and processes from leading experts in the industry on how they found success in their painting business. We will be interviewing owners of the most successful painting companies in North America and learning from their experiences. In this series, titled Painter Turned Big Business Owner, Will Reyes of Battleborn Painting will be sharing how he has grown his painting company to over $5 million in annual revenue. And we'll be providing some creative options for other owners looking for explosive growth. In episode 1, we'll discuss the mental transition he made from painter to business owner and the hurdles he needed to overcome along the way. In episode 2, we'll discuss how to create a killer client experience that builds a repeatable and profitable book of business for your painting company. In episode 3, we'll outline some of the application tools, tricks, and styles to paint that have allowed his team to create superior results for their clients and earn an enviable reputation in his local marketplace. In episode 4, this episode, Will lay out his approach to employee retention and how maintaining key team members has allowed for sustained growth. And in the final episode, episode 5, Will is going to deep dive into how to think about adding other trades or widgets to your painting business. When is it a good idea, and when is it likely shiny object syndrome? If you want to ask Will questions related to anything in this podcast series, you can do so in our exclusive Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast forum on Facebook. Just search for Painter Marketing Mastermind podcast forum on Facebook and request to join the group. Or type in the URL, facebook.com/groups/Painter Marketing Mastermind. Again, that URL is facebook.com/groups/Painter Marketing Mastermind. There you can ask Will questions directly by tagging him with your question so you can see how anything discussed here applies to your particular painting company. What's up, brother?
What's going on, buddy?
We are back live. I think the last episode covered a lot of stuff in terms of how employees run the projects and how they think about it. And I think it's going to be a really good lead into this one.
I think so. I hope so. I hope people get some value in it. So yeah, that or it's just going to be a beer to do talking for a while.
Either way is a win.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
So employee, good people, retaining them, finding them, retaining them. This whole, just can't find any good people, can't find any good painters, is a big refrain, right, in the painting industry. So I'd love to dive into how you're able to find the good painters that apparently are hiding from many other painting companies and how you're able to keep them.
That's a really good question. And I've had that asked time and time again. And, our crew is very slow to warm and then slow to accept new people. And I think, that's probably one of the biggest secrets to the success of our team is that as far as our boots on the ground go, we tell people that come in through, we get them through various sources, Indeed, Sherwin-Williams, reps, whoever. And when we get painters that come through, if they can get through the office, whether I interview or the PM does, we always let them know, like, hey, this is just the first stage of the interview process, and then we go through a little qualifying process. We get a personality test on them, see if they're a good fit in that manner. And then once, they get all those boxes checked, we say, hey, it's a trial. It's a dry run. It's a working interview. When you fit with the crew, if you make it past day one, you've got the whole week to impress them. Some people don't make it past the first hour, 4 hours, that day. We've gotten calls on numerous occasions. Hey, this person's not going to work. So they come back to the office, cut them a check, and send them packing. Or they'll start out the great day, or the first day will be great, and then by the third day, the fourth day, they slow down a little bit, which is to be expected. And then, maybe they call on Friday, and you're like, well, high hopes, send them packing. It's not hard to find people to hire. It's hard to keep people once you got them. And, the people that work with us that have been working for us for a long time, I ask them, what keeps you guys here? What makes you guys stay because you think you always have the answer. As the boss, you want to be the leader, you want to have all the answers, but that's just not the reality. And you don't want to have all the answers most of the time. You want to be able to lean into your team. And so when we talked, I thought I was going to get some basic one-liners. Oh, you treat us well. We did get some of that, but for the most part, we went down, I wouldn't say a rabbit hole, but we went down a conversation of a lot of deep respect and mutual admiration for my team and I. And, we started to jot down what matters most to them, to create a loyal base of team members, crew, employees, however you want to name them. For us, loyalty means the most. And to get somebody's loyalty, they have to trust you and you have to trust them. And for the most part, I trust everybody here. I mean, I trust anybody that works with me with my kids, and those are my most prized possessions. I've had guys walk around $15,000. Hey, boss, do you want me to bring that to you now? Cash? No, just bring it to me Monday. Okay. A lot of employers wouldn't do that. They would be really like, hey, you better bring that to me. Or that guy might get second thoughts, but I've never had those issues with the people that work with us. And they've never had a problem just holding on to it. We do a lot of cash work around here. That's, a lot of people in Reno are old fashioned like that, So, trust is probably the most important thing. Once people have earned my trust and I've earned their trust, I would say there's not much they won't do for you. And then once you've got that trust earned, you will start to want to do things for them. To each person has to be treated a little differently. You can't treat everybody the same as a whole. It just doesn't work like that. Some people, everyone's needs are different. And so a lot of times when people are working here, we talk about like, what matters to you? Is it a good schedule? Is it pay? Is it vacation time? Like what matters to you? And most people would be, I don't know, shocked or a little amazed that for the most part, the staff here, money is not the biggest issue. They're not super motivated by money. I mean, it makes the world go around and things easier when you have it. But for the most part, respect is a big thing for them. Loyalty is a big thing for them. Trust is a big thing for them. Once they've earned the trust and the loyalty, they understand that everybody here shares that same trust and loyalty, from the person, cleaning up the paint jobs, the person bagging up the trash, to the person answering the phone. And so, those are the things that we see that are super important. We just don't treat them like a number. And so that was probably one of the biggest things that we talked about, was that they're not treated like a number, and they appreciate it. And so
when you guys bring someone on and that first week on the job, that's technically still part of their interview.
Yeah.
And they know that.
We make it very clear.
And the guys know that.
Don't have a job. The crew members, they understand that what they're looking to do is find somebody that's, first of all, trainable. Second of all, they can work with. And so if they can find somebody that's trainable and they can work with, they can deal with you not knowing a lot or not as much as them. They can deal with you being slow. If you're there and you're trainable, and you're eager to learn, then we've got a place for you. When we don't have time for those kind of people, those people that think they already know it all, they want to come in and they want to start telling you how to do things on your job. And they may have a good idea and it may make things faster, but we're not necessarily looking for fast paint jobs. We're looking for efficient paint jobs. So we want people to do our system that falls in line with how we get things done. So the faster they can fall in and learn the way we do things, the faster we can get jobs done for us. So not so much speed, but more efficiency is what we're depending on.
Is that typically when you get a notice from your crew and says like, hey, this person isn't going to work out? Is it typically because they are a know-it-all?
We had a guy here 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 40 years, I've been painting since the 80s. Do you know everything? No, I don't claim to know everything. That's a good attitude to have. He made it 2 hours, too hot outside. The ladders were too tall.
The birds are too loud.
It's different reasoning. It's different reasoning for why people don't make it on this team. But I'd say the majority of that reasoning is ego. It's ego driven, it's ego based. Like I said in the last podcast, I can't remember which one it was. Most of the painters I know are the best painters ever. You've never met a faster one. Ain't no one can cut a line faster than me. I can spray out a house. And so we just don't have a lot of room for that. So when people come over here with that attitude, we usually look just to get rid of them. They interview great. It sounds going to be like there. And then they get on site and someone, quote, disrespects them. Or I don't need someone telling me what to do. I know what I'm doing. Well, no, you don't. You don't know what you're doing, especially here. And you do need somebody telling you what you do, especially here, because we do things a little different than most places. So those were the things that we talk about. And it's not like we're not open to change. We're very open to change. Our leadership team here, we have the same questionnaires with them. It's like, why do you like working here? What keeps you here? We talk about being open to change. It's not just me, it's everyone that falls under below me. Everybody has a job here, from our PMs to our office manager to our marketing director. They all have a job and something they're all specialized in, but they're all open to change, not just me. A lot of times people think it has to come from the top, but the most part, my whole job was to work myself out of a position and, live, on easy street, or, pursue something else I want to do. I don't put a ton of hours in here. Not like I used to. I used to sit there 12-hour days, wake up at 5, 6 in the morning, be to work at 7 to paint. And these are gone. Now it's usually just come here for a few hours in the morning and get things going, and then the rest of the team does it.
Yeah.
The ops manager takes care of what she needs to take care of. Sales manager takes care of what she needs to take care of. The PM takes care. So those are the things that's how we run the company here. That goes down to the trust that we, that I've given them, and they trust that they've given me.
Yep. So you guys have, people come on board, a little bit of a longer, I guess, interview process. Kind of everyone's involved, offices involved, crews involved. How do you mentioned that you get applicants from various sources, from Sherwin-Williams and other places. What are you looking for when they're actually interviewing in the office with you?
Well, so when we put out the ads, we always put, pay is depending on experience. Pay starts from anywhere to here. So typically when we meet people, and the things we're looking for is their enthusiasm to learn, their ability to, to keep their mouth shut. When they come in, we want to hear them and we want to ask them all these questions, but we want to know when they get on site, they're willing to accept our way and our methodology and our systems. And so a lot of times we run into people that don't want to do that. They want to tell you how they can make you much better, or they can do it better. And I always answer, well, if that was the case, then I'd be interviewing for a position with you, not the other way around. And so those are the things that we look for. The things that are red flags for us, we always ask, like, hey man, can you pass a drug test? Oh yeah. All right. Is your background test going to show anything up, any crazy? No, a couple of fights here, anything like that. Those are things that we look for. One of the most important things is if somebody comes in, they're like, how much does it pay? That's usually a red flag for us. We put down what it pays, the position it pays, how much it starts out at, what's tops out at. If they come in asking that, that's usually that problem. That person usually doesn't work out. I've yet to see that person. Well, hey, how much does it pay? That person doesn't work out for us. Pay is very important, but it's not all that matters. And we try to explain to a lot of people here that we do things differently. And so if you think you're going to come in here getting top dollar just to walk in my office and sit down, or sit with our PM and tell them how good you are, and now you want me to pay you top dollar, works a little different here. You're going to have to prove yourself. We always tell them, like, well, it's not saying you wouldn't get paid that, but I've yet to walk somebody through these doors that knew more than us as a whole, that could produce more than us as a whole. And so we're pretty confident about our system and how we want things done. And so that person is a red flag. I want a person that walks in through these doors and then they go through the interview process. Everything sounds great. And then I go, okay, let's talk about pay. And they go, okay. When they say, well, what does it pay? And we say between A and B, competitive experience. And they go, okay. And then in our area, we don't pay the best. There's other painting companies out there that pay more, probably by $2, $3. So if you're asking somebody, hey, if this, you're making $20 with me, or you're going down the street making 23, 20, even 24, $25 with, painting company, ABC, they'll ask, well, why don't you pay as much? We have a whole different process and a whole different answer for that. At first, some people are shocked and they walk out and we go, okay, that's cool. You're not going to hurt our feelings. But then some people ask, well, can I get more? Well, this is how we start out with it. And then we always ask a few questions. When you're taking care of your employees and then you're earning their trust, you have to do all that by saying, hey, I want what's best for you and your family, whether it be just a single person with his dogs or a cat, or it's a single woman with a dog and cat. We want what's best for somebody that walks in here. So when we talk about that, we offer a couple different things. Some painting companies, most of the painting companies in our area don't do this. We pay for the 401k. We match you there. We match. We pay you your PTO. That starts from minute one. You're eligible for it after 90 days, but it gets retroed from when you first started. So you're collecting hours then. And the biggest thing is that we pay for your health insurance. And so it's important for us to have team members that are healthy and able to work, as opposed to somebody that says to me, you know what, I don't need the health insurance, just pay me more. And so we always say, hey, that's not how we do things. If there are certain cases where our workers have opted not for the health insurance, and we pay them a little more to offset that, but very rare. For instance, my wife's a government worker, her insurance is better. I got insurance over here. Okay, we can understand that.
So,
I'm in the military. I don't need insurance. I'm signed up for 4 more years. Okay, we can work with that. But if somebody walks in and says, oh, I don't ever get sick, that's not the type of person we want here. We want somebody here that understands that your health matters more than your ability to think like, oh, I'm going to be fine because, I'm 25 or I'm 30 and I'm bulletproof.
So the company ABC down the street, that company that's paying a little bit more, they're typically not offering these benefits.
Not in our area. Not to say all of them don't, because I don't want to speak to everybody in my area. But as far as we understand, not everybody's giving the package that we're giving. And so along with that, it matters to us that you find health insurance, valuable to your home. Because if you don't, you're probably not going to be the person you want here.
It almost seems like a good, natural weeding out mechanism, because the one person looking for the quick buck is just going to care only about that.
Once we have that conversation of like, here's what we started out with, but here's the benefits that come with the job. If that person's more concerned, and it's always comical because it's always like $1 they want more. And they don't understand, how much insurance really costs. I think we spend $8,000 a month on health insurance for employees. It's not a small number, but to us, it's worth it because I know my employees have health care, and then we don't have the shitty health care insurance. Like we have good health care insurance for our team. And so that's important for us because a lot of our team members have families and we don't want to short them and, them not getting the health coverage that they deserve. And so that's stuff that we take care of. And so we're pretty proud of that. And so once we hear people would rather opt for the money than the health coverage, then we're probably not going to make it past that. That'll probably be the end of the process for us. Unless, like I said, my wife has insurance that covers me or I'm in the military. So there's some small, very few exceptions to that rule.
So you guys have a process that forces people to be compensated a little bit differently, which is going to be really attractive to the more conscientious individual, or maybe the more stable or one who wants to care for their family, not as attractive to the one who just wants to make as much money as quickly as possible, which is probably not the right team member. And then when they join, now they have something to lose. Because now they're building PTO, they have health insurance. There's a reason why they wouldn't want to just jump ship. Whereas at painting company ABC, if someone else comes along and offers them $1 more, they're probably not going to stay there.
Correct. And so what we've essentially done is, conveyed like hey, I understand you want to get paid more than we all do, but me making sure you have health insurance costs a lot of money. For some people it's $300 a month, $400 a month, and some of my guys it's $700-800 a month. And so we just that's an acceptable cost for us to know that I don't have to worry about them, falling off a roof, or they get in a car accident on the way to work, or they get ran over by crossing the street. And so I know that they're protected and they're covered. And so that's me showing them that, like, hey, your health is more important than the money. And then I hope that they understand that we're looking for their trust as opposed to just getting the money. Because when you go to work, you have to ask yourself, why am I here? Why do I come here every day? And hopefully, if you're a good employer, they answer that question as like, I like going to work because they care. I like going to work because I'm not just an employee, that could be replaced easily. And so once you get hired on with us, short from like drugs and theft, it's not easy to get fired here. And that's been a problem in the past for sometimes, but it's also been a blessing because we've given people who've had problems time to foster them up and educate them and learn them up to the positions that we want, and help them become the people they wanted to be. And so, a real testament to that is we've had 5 past employees here that worked with us that we helped get started on their own. All became contractors, all started their own painting businesses. 3 out of that 5 were successful and 2 of them didn't make it. The 2 that didn't make it came back, was like, this is harder than I thought it was. I thought,
It usually is.
yeah, hey, can I get my job back? And so it's not as easy as most people want to think it is. It really is tough. And then the guys who did make it are doing well, and we help them, and we guide them, and we send work back and forth. They said the same thing. That's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. But I'm glad I can call you. I have past employees who are contractors. Hey, what would you price for this? Or hey, how much for this? And so that means a lot to us here at Battleborn, because if you can wake up and go, why am I going to work today? Well, it's because it doesn't feel like work. Well, that's a compliment to me, well, because they care about me. They're not concerned with the money more than the person. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but that's okay. But to me, the people that work here with me are the reason I'm able to do what I do. I used to put the 12 hours in. Now I put the 2 hours in. I couldn't do that without these people that I trust, and I've earned their trust and they've earned mine. So they keep coming back because of that.
Yeah. Let's get into that a little bit. That trust, because
Sure.
that is clearly a very key piece of this. What do you, how do you kind of vet that? Like when you're having people come in and they're interviewing with you, how do you figure out whether you can trust them?
Well, it's like we said, you go through the questions, the standard questions. It's, what do you do? How do you do it? What can you do for us? You ask them all the questions that they're gonna, basically tell you what you want to hear, and then we ask one question that's I always ask is like, well, tell me something about yourself. And I always ask, like, well, tell me about yourself, and they always give you some bullshit answer. Oh, I like painting. Okay, no, and I always have to remind them, just be honest. Tell me something that you don't think I want to hear, and that's when I'll get the trust. Hey, man, I just need this job for the summer. Okay, if I give you a summer job, you'll give me 100%. You'll never hear me bitch. Okay, great. Hey, I'm just here to learn and to start my own painting business. I know that's not what you want to hear. No, that's actually what I want to hear. Really? Yeah, I need to help raise the next generation of painters to help me boost up the trade, because the last generation didn't do that for me. The last generation, in my opinion, this is just Willie talking here, did a really piss poor job of cutting the price and, bringing down the trade and, talking bad about the other guy. And I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the next generation, the change where painters boost each other up, where I'm too busy, I can give a number out to a guy that I know that'll do a good job, that's honorable, That's what I want to do, and that's how we want to work. So when people come through, we ask them, like, what are you looking for? What do you want? Or do you want to do, or you just want a job? I've got people here, like I said, I've helped 5 guys do their own business. My oldest employee's been here with me for 10 years. And we asked him, are you trying to get out there on your own? He's like, no, I just want to work my 40 hours and go home. Okay, no problems. If that's all you want, that's great too. If you want more out of life, we can help you with that as well. So, you don't have to want the moon or reinvent the wheel or start your own company. You could just want a secure job. And that's like a huge amount of trust for me. If I know this person's going to show up every day on time and get the job done, and I don't have to worry about him. And that's my first employee. He's been here the longest. He comes in. I don't even talk to him all week. Comes in, does the job. I never have to worry about it. It gets done right. I don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, those employees are nice.
Well, you know what? Most of the people that work here are like that.
Yeah.
We don't do a ton of micromanaging. We know the jobs can get done, and that's what we're really proud of. And so, that's where we look for it. So as we're interviewing, we're asking these types of questions like, what are you looking for? What do you want from us? Oh, I want to be the best person you've ever hired. Okay, don't give me that line of bullshit, because that's what everybody says. Everyone walks through that door. They're going to be the best, and they're going to work the hardest, and I'm going to give you 110%. We're asking for the real version of you, because that's all you're ever going to get with us. Yeah. And so that's what we get. And so once we can determine what their want in life is, that's usually when we can start working on the trust. And once the trust starts getting built, there's not much we can do about it. I said it takes a lot to get fired around here. I have an employee with us now who I've let go 3 times. And I asked him, why do you keep coming back? He's like, well, why do you keep hiring me back? And I said, well, I know you're a good person. I trust you. I know you're not going to do it wrong. But his biggest thing was he couldn't get to work on time. So we had to let him go. 3 months later, we give him another shot. Fired him again. 3 months later, we give him another shot. Vic, why do you keep coming back? It's like, I like it. You guys treat me well. I mean, can you imagine getting fired from a job and then keep going back there and they keep hiring you back?
It seems a little weird.
Right. It seems weird, right? But now I explain it to you like this. I know he's a person I can trust. I know he's not going to do me dirty, and I know he's not going to thief from me. He doesn't do drugs, and he's not a drinker. So I don't have to worry all these things that, you always have to constantly be, keeping an eye out for. This person's displayed none of that. His biggest problem was getting to work on time. So he said, this is the last time, Will. I got it together. I'm never late. I won't be late again. And he hasn't been late since. And so it's like, those are and he called me the whole time he didn't work for me. Hey, can you help me with this job? Can you do this with me? Can you help me? Can price this out? So even people that don't work or that we let go still remain friends. There's still people I trust. I've sent work to people I've fired here just because I know they're going to do a good job. And I can trust them about it, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Maybe they got into it with another employee, or, like we couldn't get here on time. So those are things. So those are what we're looking for, and I mean, he keeps coming back to the same job. I think most people are on to the next painting company. What does that say?
Yeah. I think the fact that you maintain that relationship, that you help him when he's gone, and then that you're willing to provide another opportunity. A lot of companies don't really appreciate what, I guess, how you handle termination or how you handle employees that leave or mess up, what it does to the rest of the team, right? When they see you doing that, when they see you still helping this guy, even though you had to let him go because he couldn't really meet the minimum requirements of the job by showing up on time, and then you were willing to offer him another opportunity, that means that every other person working for you just naturally likes you more and trusts you more, because they think, well, company ABC probably wouldn't do that.
A lot of companies would just fire and get rid of you, but I mean, there are some big ones. Like, if you steal from me, you're dead to me for life. You do drugs on my job site, you're dead to me for life. You drink in my truck, you're dead to me for life. I'll never talk to you again. But you're late and you can't get on to work on time, I can deal with that. You're a good person. You're not a bad person, but unfortunately, we had to get a lesson was taught. I mean, and think about it. And he came back. This is the 3rd time he's been back. Yeah, 3rd time he's been back. And he keeps coming back. And now he's work on time. He's our all-star. Everybody in the crew came back. Will, why'd you hire Vic back? And I was like, he's a good painter. I know, but he's never on time. If he's late 1 week, we'll cut him again. So that was our story with Vic. And so, you can't just be so dry, so black and white. Sometimes people have lives, man. Sometimes, I mean, I had an employee, man, his kids were sick all the time. Boss, I'm sorry, I can't make it in today. That's okay. Your kids are important. I understand. You know, boss, I can't make it in today. I say he, but it was a she. She was a single mom, 2 kids. We said, you always got a job here. Your kids will never get you fired in this house. And she worked here until she ended up quitting. And she tried to start her own business. And she was one of the ones that got it up, got it going, and came back, was like, this is too hard. This is too hard.
As a
And then
single mom,
so
especially, that's very hard.
it was. She was like, it was too hard. And she's like, I just thought it was a lot easier. You made it look easy. And I said, it looks easy because you just see what I do. I said, it looks easy because you're not recognizing the rest of the team in the house, what marketing does, what the office does, what sales does, what our PM does. Of course, my job is easy. I had to do all those jobs in the beginning, but now I don't do any of them. Everyone else is doing it. And so it's easy to say, I thought, it looks easy until you go to do it. And then it's not as easy.
Sure. You mentioned in the hiring process using a personality profile.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit to what you use and then what you're looking for?
Yeah. So we used, the disc profile. That was Jason Phillips. Shout out to Jason. He's Jason. Yeah, Jason Phillips. Grandmaster Jason Phillips. He introduced us this profiling, this personality profile, and it's been I don't want to say a game changer, but it's really opened our eyes into getting the right people in the right position, and then setting those people up for success. There is such thing as having the right person in the wrong position, which we had to do some shuffling after we got that, after we learned about that profiling. And it made all the difference in the world. We had a lead that we thought, well, here's how we're going to communicate to him. And then we had him test out and come to find out it was the wrong way for us to talk to him. And so once we changed the way we communicate with him, his progress was night and day. And so that's really important to us. And so that was something very important that Jason taught us and that introduced us to it. And so if anybody out there is, having issues with, employees or crew members or what have you, I would probably say run through a personality profile and see if they're fit for the job that they're supposed to be doing. Now, there's always an exception to the rule. It's not 100% foolproof, but for the majority of it, everybody in our house here, their personality profile fits the job that they're supposed to be doing.
What are you guys looking for out of a painter, personality profile wise?
For our lead painters, we're looking for, a dominant personality, somebody that can, run a crew. And, his main focus is getting the job done efficiently and, and not necessarily being liked, but being respected. If you put a person in there that's more, emotional based, where they'd rather be liked, or they don't want anybody to be mad at them because fear for they wouldn't be liked, then it becomes a problem. You got to be okay with not being liked that day. And I'm the same way. As like, some of my employees have asked, like, how do you deal with that? And I said, the job's not to be liked every day of every minute. The job is to be respected. And so for our painters, we can deal with most of them on anywhere on the disc profile, but certain key roles, we need them to show that they're going to be leaders, and leaders, lead.
So let's get into retention. So you have, your team comes, they interview, you give them personality profile, seems like a good fit. Talk about the pay. They figure out that you're not the highest in town, but then it makes sense because it's holistic. You dive deeper than other interviews. You ask them some stuff they don't want you to know. They open up. They start to trust you. It's a different experience. They join. The team's not very welcoming. Like, oh, this is a bit weird. The team decides they like them, stay there for the week, ends up being a good fit. They're in. They have the PTO that they're earning. They have the 401k. They have the health insurance. What other reasons are there that they wouldn't leave? What else is going on in the employee day-to-day life?
So for the boots on the ground, the guys are incentivized. So every Google review they get, and it doesn't have to be a 5-star, it can be a 4-star. every Google they get, and even some 3 stars are qualified. For instance, oh, the crew was great. Victor was amazing, ran the job great. I didn't like the paint color. They give you 3.5 stars. Well, that wasn't really his fault. So we let them go. So every employee that gets listed, we give out an hour of PTO. So for the job. So if you're on the job, and for instance, our flooring team is 3 people, and they get listed almost every day. They get PTO almost every day. So we give out 1 hour PTO per Google review. So if you get a Google and a Yelp from that house, that's 2 hours. You get a Google, a Yelp, and a Facebook, that's 3 hours. So if you're the only person listed there and they review you 3 times, you just got 3 hours of PTO.
What if they list more than one person?
So it's 1 hour per review. So if you got 2 guys, you both split the 2 hours or the hour.
Got it.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we had to be really careful of that, because we would have, 6 guys on one job, and all of a sudden, they get 6 hours of PTO. Be like, wait a minute, the math is not mathing on that. And so
they get Google, Yelp, and Facebook, and they're all listed in all of them.
Yeah,
for a vacation.
Exactly. You would have 7, 8, 9 painters just every day in every client's list, just like, hey. So our flooring crew probably does that the best of everybody. They get 80% reviewed, and they all get listed. Wow. So you got to figure these guys get about 2 hours of PTO a week on top of their normal PTO. And so, theoretically, you can add another 52 hours. Even if you just got 1 a week, you could add another 52 hours of PTO to your time, to your timeline or your pay scale.
Yeah, that's a nice benefit. What is your normal PTO schedule look like?
Now I'm the wrong person to ask. I want to say after you get after 90 days you're eligible. Then we retro you from the 90, and then it occurs so if you don't use any by the end of the year, I think it comes down to about a little over a week. I think it is 50 hours, somewhere around there. And so, and that's for X amount of years. Then after that, it goes to more hours. But we do pay the PTO, but we are also incentivizing it with getting the reviews, because if you just get 1 a week and you're on 5 to 6 to 7 jobs a week, you just added another 52 hours to your schedule. And like I said, I've got guys get 2 hours a week. The crew gets 2 hours a week. So that's, even if they didn't do it every week for 52 weeks, they did it for 40 weeks. That's another 80 hours they just put on their paycheck.
Yeah.
Can you imagine working at a place where you got another week of PTO or more just for doing 1 review a week? Now think our gutter crew, they'll usually do probably, 20 reviews a month. We'll bring in from around there, give or take. And some of those guys are listed almost every job.
You ever have people kind of like infighting to see who gets listed on those?
We haven't had, that was something we thought about, and then it did come up because it's a part of that customer experience we talked about the other podcast, right? So we're creating this great customer experience, right, for this client, and they're loving it. They're loving the crew because they're so nice. Well, the crew is being so nice because that's their job, but they're also like saying, hey, we got to do something to make sure we're memorable. We got to make sure that this client knows our name, because the first thing our lead did when they got on site was like, hey, this is Victor, this is Joey. And then they go back and go, hey, I'm Joey. Okay. Or when they go, oh, you know what? Hey, did you want all the feather, the weather stripping pulled out of this? I go, okay, all right, thanks. And so if you're making sure you're memorable and then the review comes, you're listed. You can't fight over it because the client's going to list whoever they want to list.
Yeah. But it would typically be the lead who would ask, right? The client?
The lead always asks at the end of the day, hey, after we get done doing the full walkthrough and we're down to our 2 questions. And the 2 questions are like, hey, did we earn that good review? And they're going to go, yay or nay, however they want to voice that. And then they're going to say, okay, hey, we just need to catch the balance of that. And we'll get out of your hair. Expect a call from us next week to make sure, if you do see something in next week, it's not a big deal. We'll come out and take care of it for you. So that lead does solicit that last little reminder of like, hey, did we earn that good review? And then and if they say, yeah, I'll write a review. Okay. Hey, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, could you list who gave you a really good experience today? Whether it be,
Mm.
one of the boys out there or whoever you want it to be. So, and sometimes they don't list the boys. Sometimes they list, the sales associate and then the project consultant, or they list, the PM, which is Derek. So it just kind of depends on how it comes and how you ask that question. But we usually want to ask it in that manner, like, hey, if anybody out, if anybody out, stood out here, just you mind listing them? And they go, okay, cool. So that's how these guys keep track of it. And so once the review comes in, we write it on the whiteboard in the back, and then we'll put a tick mark next to whoever's name that is.
What do you do if they don't put anyone's name?
And then it's just a good review. There's nobody there.
Got it.
We'll talk about it. So like today, I went in today. I think we had 6 reviews for last week in painting. We had, I think 10 in gutters, and then I think 4 in flooring. And so, painting crushed it. Gutters did really well. And so we're like, okay, here we go. And then I'll get the hours when we come and do the job costing report, and then we'll phone the hours into a payroll.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so they have the ability to earn more PTO. They're clocking that PTO as they go anyways. And now they have a like a tight-knit crew, right? Because it wasn't a little harder to get into, but then when you get into it, usually means it's probably a very good fit. Is there anything else you see that you're doing maybe a little bit differently from some other companies?
Yeah, so we are very specific in how we do things. And so we only have 2 paint crews. We have a 6-man crew and a 3-man crew. And so once the schedule's full, the schedule's full. Not a lot of times we can, fit somebody in or squeeze them in. Like once it's full because of the way we get things done. And so it's not like, well, here, let's see if we can hurry up and get this house done a little early and then we'll start on this one. No, it's not like that. This week we have 5 houses for the big crew and we have 2 houses for the small crew. And that's just it. We're full. And so we start to run into a lot of issues, and we ran into this years ago, is we were unable to take on a lot of work because now, we're booked out till November currently. And so you've got to look at that, like, how much work are we missing, right? How much work are we missing? So the biggest thing I think we do that our crews love is that we'll just send them the work as side work. So if I got somebody that says, hey, I need the whole house blown out because I got a tenant moving in, okay, no problem. We can do it. Oh, you can? Yeah, we might. Yeah, we can fit it in. Let's come take a look at it. So we'll look at the project, hit them with the price, and then I'll send it to one of my guys on the weekend or after hours to do it as a side job. So all of a sudden, that job that I bid for $5,600, well, I was never going to get it anyways. I didn't have the time for it. So our crew will come and do it on their own time, and they'll get paid on the job. So you come to me and you work in a house that, yeah, the pay is not as good as elsewhere, but they sure do care about you. And so you figure if I can slide you a side job, whether it be a full interior, last one I gave out last Friday was $500 for a garage door. Lady needed it done Friday because her HOA was going to fine her if she didn't. $500, I'll have it done this afternoon. Okay, great. Called Tony and said, hey man, $500. He ran out there. 30 minutes later, he was done. Got a call, got a picture, sent it.
So that full interior that you're not going to get to, it's $5,600. Sure. You're going to give your crew the opportunity to just go knock it out on the weekend. They're going to probably supply the paint, and then they're going to take the full 5,600, and it's essentially they're running their own, project or almost like mini company for that day.
Sure.
Have you ever had issue? I assume you haven't. You only have 2 crews, and you got a pretty tight process and tight team. But have you ever had issues where there was like a quality control problem because you weren't actually running it, and it was now someone else running it?
No, that's where the trust comes in. We don't send the side jobs out unless we can trust you. And so, they're specific about it. So there's rules and everything about it. So we'll send you a side job. You can only
because your name's still on it. The homeowner.
So we still take the risk. We still take the risk. So if they fall off a ladder, we still take the risk. And so it's not a popular thing that I do. And I know a lot of business owners out there and a lot of painting contractors that won't do it. They don't want the risk. That's okay. I agree with you. I understand it is risky with what we're doing, but it also is giving them an opportunity to get ahead. right? Because I can't pay them $5,000 to go do a job, but I can send them that job that was never going to get done by us anyways. So now my truck is running late hours. My truck's running 7 days a week. My employees are happy because they just got a huge paychecks that they can put away for the wintertime or Christmas. And so we've seen it as a win-win. I've had this discussion many times where people are like, well, why don't you just pay them overtime? Well, we pay overtime when they work overtime, but we don't like our guys working overtime. We like our guys starting at 7 and getting done by 3. We don't make them work Saturdays. We don't make them work Sundays. And we don't make them work unless it's like, if we got a job that has to get done on Monday, we'll send as many painters as we need to get it done. So if we got to send 6 or 7 or 8, 9, and even 10 guys, even if our PM's got to paint, or, if they need 11 or 12, a lot of people don't know Kristen and I still paint because we enjoy it. Not because we need to, but we enjoy painting. We've been called plenty of times. Hey man, we need you guys. How many can you bring? Oh, I'll bring 2 people. Cool. And then we go there and we knock it out. Right. But, my whole goal is to make sure my guys aren't blistering themselves in the summer heat, working, in 100-degree weather, 10, 11, 12-hour days. I've had this conversation where you get contractors like, well, they'll just work overtime. Who the fuck wants to work overtime, man? You got kids? Do you really want to work past 8 hours? No. You got a life too. You're not working here so you can, barely pay your bills or barely see your kids. You're working here as a means to end, and you want to make sure that this place stays where it stays in your life. Yes, it's valuable to work here. Yes, we value you as a crew member, but your family is more important in this place. And so when people understand like they understand where our stance is on that, the trust that we build with our crew and our employees, it's unshakable. Our guys, they always on Facebook, Instagram, I don't know all the names for these things, the TikToks or whatever it is. They're always posting videos. That's never been mandatory for us. We've never said you got to put this on your social media. You don't have to do a funny video in the day. They've always just done that because they enjoy working here. And so if we're giving that trust to them and they're giving their trust to us, why wouldn't I give them the side job? I could pay them just as the same. It would be the same people I sent out there. They would do the same quality of work. But we're very transparent about it. A lot of times on the bigger jobs, we go, hey, listen, Mr. Customer, we're a little full right now, but here's what I'm willing to do for you. Because we've had people like, no, I want you to do it, but I need it done now. We'll go, okay, here's what we'll do for you. I'll have my crew come out and do it on the weekend as a side job. You just pay them direct. Oh, really? They're 100% covered. They'll be in all of our tools, all of our gear, all of our trucks. You're going to get, it's the same people I would send out here. You're just going to pay, you're going to cut a check to them instead of us. And they go, oh, okay, fine. We've never had a problem with it. But like I said, the trust has to be earned because without it, you'll have a problem.
Have there been any problems with anything regarding trust, like you placing trust in the wrong person?
Yeah. Yeah. I had one of my best painters, probably the best painter I've ever worked with, came up $700 cash short. And so when and it was the funniest thing because I never count the money when they bring it to me. But that day I did. It was $700 short. It's the only time I've ever been short. Ever since then, I count the money every time now. But I never counted the money before. And then that day, I was like, I'm going to count it. Something seemed off. $700 short. Called the client. No, I paid him everything. Called him. I don't know what happened. So you can't accuse people of being thieves unless you see them actually be a thief. 2 weeks later, he came to me with an envelope, $700 in it. Hey, boss, that was my fault. I lost the money. I knew he didn't lose the money. So that next day, we random drug tested him, and he failed, and we got to let him go. But this guy was the best painter I'd ever worked with. Hands down. No one couldn't even get. I'm good. I'm a real good painter. My PM is probably one of the best I've ever met, but this guy was better than both of us, man. And unfortunately, he succumbed to a problem that we couldn't overlook.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever had an issue.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think, to me, a lot of what you do just works. It works together. Like each of these things independently is not going to be nearly as powerful as the full thing. But to me, one of the things that you do that's most powerful is that it's almost like initiation with the crew. And the fact that you only have these two crews, I think that's probably of everything you've said, I'm feeling like that's one of the absolute most important things that you do.
Yeah, it's working with them and understanding like what we can do better. I don't know everything, and I don't want to know everything. I want to learn just as much as the people that come in and that we employ. We want to learn from them as much as they learn from us. If I've got something I can knowledge dump onto you, then please take it from me. I'll share everything you want. But you can't have employees that come up and have the thought of you being dismissive. You have to be open minded and with your trust. And you asked, did I ever have a problem with it again? No, I had that one problem with it. $700. That was my bad. That was the only time I had a problem with it. And then I count the cash from here on out because now that's my new habit. But if that guy called me up and came to me and showed me he was back to being clean and sober, we would hire him back. For the most part, people are good. They want to do good things, and if you give them the opportunity to be good people and be the best that they can be, and work to their absolute top ability, they want to do that. And that's when I worked for somebody that I wanted to be the best for them I could be. And I was lucky enough to go through places where even though some of my bosses weren't great, they always gave me the encouragement to be the best of my ability, and that was for that employee too. I think he still had a lot of potential, and if he came back, showed me a clean, sober plate, we would probably hire him back because he was a good person.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
We created this culture around here, and we created a culture here that once you get a job here, we want to make it easy to work here. There are a lot of times in my life in the past where I had jobs that just wasn't easy to work there. I'm like, God, it'd be nice if someone just get out of my way and let me do the job. Or, man, if they would just change this, it'd be so much easier. And so that's why you can't be dismissive. You got to be able to hear what someone's willing to say to you, because a lot of times you're just not the expert, or you don't know it all just because you're the boss, and so if we can create a system that produces results that people can be proud of and a quality they can stand behind, that's about as easy as I can make it work for you here. And so that is kind of like our goal and our mission, make it easy to work here, and people will stay, they'll give you their all, I had our office manager, wants to start a new business, start doing hair. And I said, okay, well, when are you going to quit? Oh, 3 years. Well, 3 years. Yeah, no, I'm not an idiot. I know I got to write a business plan. I know I'm going to make you help me with it. We're going to go through all these things, and I'm going to do it right because I've seen what people have done in the past, and I've seen what you're doing, which is right. You care about people, you don't just let them sit up by the wayside and just hang. The people that work here genuinely have the best interest for the next person that stands next to them. Our sales manager can help anybody do sales. Our project manager can teach that girl how to run a salon in the most efficient manner. Our marketing director can teach that person. So she's like, why would I leave now? I got more to learn. And so no skin off our teeth. She's probably one of the smartest kids I've ever met.
Yeah, she's smart.
If you create an environment where people want to trust you and want to work as hard as they can for you, and then they accept you for who you are, man, what an environment that is to be. I mean, isn't that just a cool thing to do? You never have to, one of the things, we have things written all over this place. And one of the things that we have written on there, the board, was, which I really like, it's no one here has to fake it to fit in. And so from the interview process to the training process, all the way through, we're looking for the most authentic version of that person we can get. That's why I asked them, just tell me the truth, your truth. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. And then we get on site. Listen, you're going to learn more here than you ever have. But what can you teach us? And that lets them get to the point where they can be open and free and be about themselves. It's like, okay, cool. This is a place I can kind of dig. Yeah, I can make a couple bucks more down the street, but will they have my best interest at heart? If my uncle dies, are they okay with me taking time off? A lot of places are like, well, you don't have any more PTO. And then you're like, well, that person raised me. Yeah, I don't have to tell you, you got no PTO. Now all of a sudden they got to make a decision. Is my job that important to stay or do I quit? I've been in too many positions throughout my life, and I've seen positions, and I've heard friends and talked to people where I'm like, well, you just go handle your business. I can't. I got no more time off. What do you mean no more time off? That's a foreign concept to me. I don't have any more time off. Just tell your work you can't go in. Like, work is always going to be there. You only have so much time with family. That clock runs out. So, in my opinion, those are the things that keep you healthy, and those are the things that create a good culture, and that's where people want to work. So that's what you get when you work here. If you come here to work with Battleborn Painting, that's what you're going to get. And my oldest employees is from day one. I think we're 11 years or 12 years or something. Under him is 9 years. Under her is I think she's 7 years, 8 years. In the painting business, to have, crew members and team members that have hung out that long, that's not a typical thing.
That's pretty tenured.
Yeah, it's going, but it's like you said earlier, if you don't do the job of vetting these people, they'll leave you for $1. I'm going to make $2 more there, which is only $4,000 a year. You chop that up, it's not a lot of money, but they don't see that. Those aren't the people we're looking for. We're looking for the people who are like, you know what? Yeah, I can make $2 more there, but they won't give a shit about me. When things get bad, they'll cut me faster than anything. And so that's in my opinion. Everything I've said here is what we do at Battleborn. I'm not saying this is the only way to do things here. I'm saying this is how we do it, and this is the reason why I think we're successful. Is we have people here that actually give a shit about what goes on here.
I love it, man. Well, that was insightful, brother. I appreciate you sharing all that. That was definitely deep. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up this episode?
Just like I said before, if anybody's got questions, I promise you there's somebody that knows more than you. And, it's your job to teach the person who knows less than you. If anybody wants to ask me questions, reach out. I'm more than willing to share what I know. Texting is always a little easier for me. Or messaging me is fine too. But, if you've got a question, ask. I promise you there's somebody that's out there willing to help.
Appreciate you, Will. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
If you want to learn more about the topics we discussed in this podcast and how you can use them to grow your painting business, visit paintermarketingpros.com/podcast for free training, as well as the ability to schedule a personalized strategy session for your painting company. Again, that URL is paintermarketingpros.com/podcast. Hey there, painting company owners. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did. And also, if you're interested in taking your painting business to the next level, make sure you visit the Painter Marketing Pros website at paintermarketingpros.com to learn more about our services. You can also reach out to me directly by emailing me at brandon@paintermarketingpros.com, and I can give you personalized advice on growing your painting business. Until next time, keep growing.